Article: The surprising power of a simple food to combat sarcopenia and preserve muscle for life. Introduction. Muscle, longevity, and a hidden solution. What if I told you that one of the most powerful tools for preventing muscle loss as you age isn't a supplement, a shake, or a product from a lab, but a simple food that contains more high-quality protein than eggs? More importantly, what if this food could help you fight sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength, faster and more effectively than you've been led to believe? Sarcopenia doesn't announce itself overnight. Creeps in slowly. A few pounds of lean mass lost in your 40s, a little less grip strength in your 50s, more fatigue climbing stairs in your 60s. By the time most people notice, it's already compromised their quality of life. Muscle is not just about strength or aesthetics. It's a central organ of longevity. It regulates glucose, maintains balance and mobility, and protects against falls, fractures, and metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes. Left unchecked, sarcopenia can erode your independence, making everyday tasks like carrying groceries or playing with your grandkids feel insurmountable. But here's the good news. Sarcopenia is not inevitable. It's modifiable, and diet plays a pivotal role, not just in how much protein you consume, but in the quality of that protein, how it's distributed throughout the day, and how it interacts with exercise and recovery. In this comprehensive guide, we'll dive deep into one surprising food that outperforms eggs in supporting muscle protein synthesis, particularly for older adults. We'll explore its amino acid profile, anabolic potential, and benefits in the context of aging physiology. We'll also provide practical strategies for incorporating this food into your diet, especially if you're over 40 and thinking about preserving muscle and strength for the long haul. Beyond that, we'll unpack why protein needs increase with age, how muscle acts as a metabolic sink and glucose regulator, the critical role of resistance training, and what randomized controlled trials reveal about muscle preservation and healthy aging. This isn't about quick fixes. It's about building a foundation for a healthier, more independent future. One where you remain resilient into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. Let's get started. The science of sarcopenia. Why muscle loss happens. Sarcopenia, derived from the Greek words sarx, flesh, and penia, loss, is the progressive decline in muscle mass and strength that occurs with aging. It typically begins in your 30s, with muscle mass decreasing by approximately 3 to 8% per decade after age 30, accelerating after age 60. By the time you reach your 70s, you may have lost 20 to 40% of your muscle mass if no interventions are taken. This loss isn't just cosmetic, it impacts mobility, metabolic health, and resilience. The primary driver of sarcopenia is anabolic resistance, a physiological shift where muscle tissue becomes less responsive to anabolic stimuli, namely dietary protein and resistance exercise. In younger adults, consuming 20 grams of high-quality protein can robustly trigger muscle protein synthesis, MPS, the process by which muscles repair and grow. By age 65, however, the same protein dose may have only half the effect due to anabolic resistance. A 2011 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults require a higher dose of essential amino acids, particularly leucine, to achieve the same anabolic response as younger individuals. This shift is influenced by several factors. Reduced muscle sensitivity. Aging muscles are less responsive to amino acids and insulin, impairing MPS. Hormonal changes. Declines in growth hormone, testosterone, and insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, reduce muscle building capacity. Inactivity. Sedentary lifestyles exacerbate muscle loss, as muscles require mechanical loading to maintain mass. Inadequate nutrition. Many older adults underconsume protein, especially high-quality sources, due to appetite changes, dental issues, or dietary habits skewed toward carbohydrates. The consequences of sarcopenia extend beyond physical weakness. Muscle is a metabolic organ, accounting for 70 to 80% of insulin-stimulated glucose uptake. Loss of muscle mass increases the risk of insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and metabolic syndrome. Additionally, muscle acts as an endocrine organ, releasing myokines, signaling molecules that regulate inflammation, mitochondrial function, and even brain health. A 2014 study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that higher muscle mass was associated with lower all-cause mortality, even when controlling for body fat and BMI. Sarcopenia also increases the risk of falls, fractures, and frailty, which can lead to hospitalizations and loss of independence. The Health ABC study, which followed over 3,000 older adults, showed that those with the greatest loss of thigh muscle volume had significantly higher risks of mobility disability and mortality. This underscores a critical point. Muscle preservation isn't about vanity, it's about longevity, resilience, and quality of life. Protein needs and aging. Rethinking the RDA, the recommended dietary allowance, RDA, for protein 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight per day, was established to prevent deficiency, not to optimize health, especially for older adults. For a 150-pound, 68 kilograms, person, this translates to just 54 grams of protein daily, often insufficient to combat anabolic resistance and support muscle maintenance. Multiple studies, including a 2013 meta-analysis in the Journal of Nutrition, suggest that older adults need 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily, roughly 82 to 109 grams for a 150-pound individual. Equally important is how protein is distributed throughout the day. A 2013 study in the Journal of Nutrition compared two groups of older adults. One consuming most of their protein at dinner, and another distributing it evenly across breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The evenly distributed group showed 25% greater muscle protein synthesis, highlighting the importance of spacing protein intake to maximize MPS. Practically, this means aiming for 27 to 36 grams of protein per meal, with at least 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine to overcome anabolic resistance. Not all proteins are created equal. Protein quality is determined by its amino acid profile, digestibility, and absorption speed. The Digestible Indispensable Amino Acid Score, DIAAS, is a modern metric for evaluating protein quality, replacing the older Protein Digestibility Corrected Amino Acid Score, PDCAAS. High-quality proteins like eggs, dairy, meat, and whey score well due to their complete amino acid profiles and high leucine content. Plant-based proteins, such as lentils or rice, often have lower DIAAS scores due to limiting amino acids, e.g., lysine in grains, methionine in legumes, and reduced bioavailability, but strategic combinations can bridge this gap. The powerhouse food. Why whey protein shines. Eggs have long been considered a gold standard for protein, and for good reason. A large egg contains about 6 grams of protein, all 9 essential amino acids, and a DIAAS score of 1.0, the highest possible. However, to hit the leucine threshold of 2.5 to 3 grams per meal, you'd need to eat 4 to 5 eggs, which may not be practical or desirable for everyone. Enter whey protein, a food-derived protein that outperforms eggs in anabolic efficiency, particularly for older adults. Whey, a byproduct of cheese production, is a functional food with a robust clinical profile for muscle preservation. A single 25-gram scoop of whey protein isolate contains approximately 2.7 grams of leucine, sufficient to cross the leucine threshold and trigger MPS. A 2009 randomized controlled trial in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition compared protein sources in elderly men and found that 20 grams of whey protein post-exercise resulted in significantly greater MPS than casein or soy, due to its higher leucine content and faster absorption rate. Whey's benefits extend beyond leucine. High bioavailability. Whey is rapidly digested and absorbed, delivering amino acids to muscles quickly. Complete amino acid profile. It contains all essential amino acids in optimal ratios. Sustainability. As a byproduct of dairy, whey reduces food waste, and grass-fed or regenerative dairy options align with ethical sourcing. Versatility. Whey can be blended into smoothies, mixed with yogurt, or added to oatmeal, making it easy to incorporate. A 2018 meta-analysis in Nutrients examined older adults supplementing with whey protein alongside resistance training. The whey group saw greater increases in lean body mass, strength, and functional performance compared to controls, translating to improved mobility and independence. For older adults with reduced appetite or chewing difficulties, whey offers a convenient way to hit protein targets, especially at breakfast, where protein intake is often low. For plant-based eaters, pea protein or soy protein isolates can serve as alternatives, though they may require larger servings or leucine fortification to match whey's efficacy. The key is intentionality. Whether omnivorous or plant-based, your protein strategy must prioritize leucine-rich sources and even distribution across meals. Muscle as a metabolic organ. Beyond strength, muscle is often viewed through the lens of strength or aesthetics, but its role in longevity is far broader. Skeletal muscle is the body's largest site of glucose disposal, accounting for 70 to 80% of insulin-stimulated glucose uptake. When you consume carbohydrates, insulin signals muscles to absorb glucose for energy or storage. Greater muscle mass enhances insulin sensitivity, reducing the risk of insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. A 2014 study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that higher muscle mass correlated with lower all-cause mortality, independent of BMI or fat mass. Muscle also functions as an endocrine organ, releasing myokines during contraction. These signaling molecules, such as irisin, promote fat browning, improve insulin sensitivity, and reduce systemic inflammation, a key driver of aging and chronic disease. Myokines also support mitochondrial function and brain health, linking muscle activity to cognitive resilience. Sarcopenia's ripple effects are profound. Low muscle mass increases the risk of falls, fractures, and frailty, which can lead to hospitalizations and loss of independence. The Health ABC study found that older adults with significant thigh muscle loss faced higher risks of mobility disability and mortality. Muscle also serves as a reserve for recovery. Individuals with greater muscle mass are better equipped to withstand surgery, infections, or chemotherapy. Reframing muscle as protective capital shifts the perspective from vanity to necessity. Just as a savings account buffers financial stress, muscle mass buffers physical and metabolic stress. Even starting later in life, muscle remains adaptive. Studies show that individuals in their 80s and 90s can gain strength and lean mass with proper training and nutrition. Resistance training. The non-negotiable stimulus nutrition alone cannot preserve muscle. It requires a mechanical signal to activate MPS. Resistance training is the most effective intervention for combating sarcopenia, as confirmed by a 2017 meta-analysis in Aging Research Reviews. Even twice-weekly sessions can yield measurable gains in strength, lean mass, and functional performance. Resistance training triggers MPS through mechanical loading, activating pathways like mTOR, mammalian target of rapamycin, the master regulator of muscle growth. Exercise also sensitizes muscles to amino acids, amplifying the anabolic effect of protein intake. A leucine-rich meal post-workout is particularly effective, as the synergy between training and nutrition maximizes MPS. A practical resistance resistance training routine for beginners includes frequency, 2 to 3 sessions per week, exercises, compound movements like squats, lunges, push-ups, rows, and presses, sets and reps, 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions per exercise, with 60 to 90 seconds rest. Progression. Gradually increase resistance, volume, or complexity over time. Progressive overload. The Life study, involving over 1,600 older adults, demonstrated that modest resistance training reduced disability and improved mobility over 2 years. Even frail individuals in their 80s showed gains in strength and muscle size after 8 to 12 weeks of training. Beginners can start with bodyweight exercises or light weights, such as soup cans or resistance bands, making it accessible to all. Structuring your day. A muscle-preserving protocol to combat sarcopenia, consistency is key. Here's a daily framework grounded in evidence. 3 protein-rich meals. Aim for 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein per meal, with 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine. Examples: breakfast, Greek yogurt, 6 ounces, whey isolate, 1 scoop, berries, chia seeds, 35 g protein. Lunch, grilled chicken breast, 5 ounces, quinoa, vegetables, 40 g protein. Dinner, salmon, 5 ounces, lentils, greens, 40 g protein. Resistance training, 2 to 3 sessions per week, 30 to 40 minutes, focusing on compound movements. Zone 2 aerobic work, 2 to 4 sessions per week, 30 to 45 minutes, at a pace where you can talk but not sing, e.g. brisk walking, cycling. Recovery and sleep, 7 to 9 hours of sleep, stress management, and adequate hydration. Micronutrients like magnesium, potassium, and vitamin D support muscle function. Monitor and reflect. Track protein intake for 1 to 2 weeks using apps like Chronometer to calibrate your habits. Reflect weekly on meal structure and training progress. Supplements, optional whey protein, creatine monohydrate, 5g/day, and vitamin D are evidence-based for muscle maintenance. Creatine improves strength, lean mass, and cognitive health in older adults. A 7-day challenge. Start today to put this into action. Try this 7-day challenge. Nutrition. Consume 3 protein-rich meals daily, each with at least 30 grams of protein and 2.5 grams of leucine. Training. Complete 2 resistance training sessions, focusing on simple movements like squats and push-ups. Pay attention. Notice changes in energy, recovery, and confidence. Reflect on how this routine could become a lifelong habit. This challenge isn't about perfection. It's about building awareness and momentum. Ask yourself, what would it look like if I did this not just for a week, but for the rest of my life? Conclusion. Invest in your future. Self-preserving muscle mass is not about chasing youth or aesthetics. It's about investing in resilience, independence, and longevity. Sarcopenia is modifiable, and the tools are within reach. High-quality protein, like whey, resistance training, and intentional lifestyle habits. Muscle is your body's metabolic sink, endocrine organ, and protective capital. By prioritizing protein distribution, leucine thresholds, and consistent training, you can build a foundation for a healthier, stronger future.